Recording and share my screen. All right, here we go. So today we will be talking about a phrase that's thrown around a lot, which is playing the game the right way. And we're going to talk about what that means and exactly how we do that and why it's so important. There are a lot of words on these PowerPoints just because there's a lot of explaining that I want to do on some of these topics, but this will be 40 minutes. I'm going to roll through stuff. I have some videos at the end. As I always do, I'm going to post this slideshow to the hub afterwards. If we don't get to the videos, you can watch them. And truth be told, there are a couple, just some highlights of a couple games that I play that I got to play in college. And really, these videos just do a great job of, if we're looking for the right stuff, and with this topic being playing the right way, it kind of you get to see what that really looks like in action, what playing the right way means. And as most of you know, I played at Ole Miss, and we were very prideful in the fact that we played blue collar baseball. We had a bunch of gritty guys that just wanted to play hard. And they trained us that way, and our coaches lived it as well. They didn't just talk the talk, they walked the walk, and it certainly showed up when we were on the field. So of course, you guys knew I was going to talk about uncommon standards, but I just wanted to start with this because, you know, uncommon standards was put into place to teach our players how to play the right way. Okay. And it's about holding you players accountable to the standards that are going to be required of you at the next level, which really isn't, you know, you can't find that much in the world that we're living in as far as travel baseball. But we obviously put a big emphasis on that. And that's why you guys are here. But to teach you guys ways to stand out in a sea of talented players. And I promise you, I graduated high school in 2012. So my recruiting process was really end of 2009 to 2011. Okay. The amount of talented players now are 10 times what they were when I was playing. Training is better. Just the general knowledge of playing elite level baseball when you're in high school is way more prevalent. And because of that, there's more really good baseball players. So it becomes that much harder to separate yourself. When there's that much talent out there, how can we separate ourselves? And then to teach lessons that will carry over long after baseball. And I know when I was in your shoes, every time somebody tried to talk to me about lessons that were going to be carried with me after baseball, I rolled my eyes. I'm like, yep. I'm 15 years old. I'm trying to play baseball for the rest of my life and make it to the big leagues. I don't want to talk about what lessons I'm going to need when I'm in the workforce someday. But when you get to the point where you're in my shoes or some of your parents, we can look back and say, wow, I'm super grateful for those lessons that I did learn because they're helping me out now in my life. So I don't need you guys thinking I need to learn these lessons. I need to be on time because when I get a job someday and I'm not playing baseball anymore, they're going to help me. I never thought like that. I don't need you to think that like that, but understand that is very, very important. You're a human being a lot longer than you're a baseball player. And the lessons that you're going to learn in this game are going to travel with you long after you're done playing ball. Well, okay, standards at the next level. Okay, as I said, uncommon standards were put into place to teach you guys and hold you accountable to standards that you're going to be held to at the next level. Okay, every single one of these bullet points, I have probably 10 stories from college that will back up every single thing I have here. Being late is not an option. Hustling is not an option. Pouting is not an option. The expectations as far as performance on the field are 10 times, maybe 20 times what they are at the high school level. For example, shortstop, deep, hard ground ball, deep in the hole. In high school, we miss it. Your coach says, hey, that's okay. That was a tough play. In college, you're expected to make that play. So having those standards and expectations for yourself now are going to put you in a better position when you move on to that next level, as far as moving through that learning curve quickly. And believe me, there's a learning curve for every freshman moving into college. But what we're trying to do here is help you guys understand what the mentality, the expectation, the standards you need to hold yourself to now, so that when you do move on, it's an easy transition. Okay, big body language is mandatory. That's kind of just another way of saying pouting is not an option. And we're going to talk about body language a lot here tonight. Over communicating on and off the field is mandatory. For example, there's another story. We had one player at Penn State. He texted our coach 15 minutes before practice, said, "Hey coach, I have a meeting with my academic advisor and I'm going to be late to practice." And he said, "When did you know about this?" Well, I scheduled it yesterday. And you're telling me 15 minutes before practice. Okay. You know, you'll be staying 30 minutes after practice, and you can imagine what he was doing after practice. Okay. So over communicating. So just showing up late is not okay when you know that you're going to be showing up late. When I'm coaching one of our US Elite teams, obviously we're very strict on our you can't be late policy. But if a kid gets stuck in traffic and his parents are driving and texts me 40 minutes before the game, so coach, it looks like we might be late, I'm a little more lenient on that because he's communicating with me, which is really, at the end of the day, what we're trying to get you guys to do. Disrespecting a coach, trainer, student manager at the next level is not tolerated whatsoever. Okay. Now, probably the most important part of this, no one is perfect. I understand that. Your coaches understand that. The coaches at the next level understand that. But you showing that these standards are important to you and that you understand that they make a difference is what we're paying attention to, right? So I know that somebody on my team is going to slip up. They're going to make an error. They're going to drop their head. Their shoulders are going to go forward. They're going to look sad out there. Okay. But then when I have a conversation with them, if he just kind of shrugs his shoulders like no big deal, that's when I have a problem with it. But if he's like, "Coach, you're right, I know," and I see him make an adjustment, that's development. That's baseball. Baseball is all about ups and downs. That means you're going to have really good games where you get a lot of hits. You're going to have really bad games where you strike out a bunch. You're going to have really good games where you have great body language, you're really confident, and you're going to have really bad games where you're not confident, your body language sucks. But being able to understand that you got to make adjustments from that, and understanding and showing how important that is to do that is what I look for as a coach, right? And it's what you're being recruited on as well. Okay, and this is a big one for me right here. Okay, true. I got to be 100% honest here. My kind of niche as far as what I was really good at baseball was playing my butt off every single game. So when I'm watching players, evaluating players, and coaching players, I look at that a lot. Okay. And I'm sure if I went around to every single kid on this webinar and said, "Do you play hard?" I bet we would probably have 100% yes. Okay, but here's the truth. A very small percentage of kids that I watch play actually play hard. Okay, and here's what I mean. A lot of kids play hard in the big games, when they're having a good game, when everything's going right for them. Okay, but then when it starts to get really tough, it's 98 degrees, it's your second game, you're losing 8-2. Then I start to see, oh, he pulled up on that hard 90 when he hit a ground ball to the shortstop. Oh, he didn't dive for that ball because they were winning by 10 runs and he just didn't want to get hurt in that situation, right? The kids that truly play hard, that can go on their resume, right? Regardless of the situation, they're putting their body on the line. They're sprinting everywhere they go. They hustle on and off the field. They got great body language and a great attitude in the dugout. They're a great teammate. Those are the kids that play hard. Okay. So that requires a little bit of looking in the mirror and say, okay, when we're losing 10-0 and it's 98 degrees, do I really give everything I have? Because at this level, when we're off playing in a tournament, you're never going to remember if you lost 10-0. Okay. And if a college coach is watching you, he's not going to remember that your team lost 10-0, but he's certainly going to remember what you did when you hit a ground ball to the shortstop and you pulled up before you got to first base, you know, in the 6th inning. He's certainly going to remember that. Right. So if you only give, what I wrote at the bottom, if you only give your best effort 95% of the time, in my opinion, you don't play hard. You only play hard when it's easy. And guess what? The next level, it's rarely, if ever, easy. Okay, you're always dealing with some type of adversity. There's hardly any times at that level that everything just clicking. You're fielding every single ground ball. You haven't made an error yet this year. You only struck out twice the whole year. Like, you're always dealing with something. That might be your girlfriend broke up with you, or your you flunked a test earlier that day, and you're trying to deal with that. And for a lot of kids that don't focus on this kind of stuff, let that carry over into the game. Well, college coaches are coming and watching you, and they're trying to determine and project you from your being a high school kid, project you into what you're going to look like when you're in college, thinking, okay, is this kid going to be able to deal with that adversity and still give me everything he has every single day? And that goes for weight, your weight training, that goes for the classroom, that goes for practices, that goes for obviously the games that you're playing, right? But if you can't give everything you have in those situations, then you're probably not a guy for them. So it may seem insignificant to you that you pulled up on a hard 90 in the 6th inning when you're down 10-0. But when they're trying to project what you're going to look like in 2 or 3 years, when you come to their school and you're dealing with a ton of adversity and they need you to give every single thing that they have on that field and in practice and in weights and in the classroom, then that is a big deal to them. So those little insignificant things make a big impression on the people that are evaluating you, you know, in determining really if you're going to move on to that next level or not. And going back to how many talented players there aren't many kids that do this. So if you are one of the kids that do give everything you have, Coach Cooper at Penn State used to say this all the time, you're not going to have 100% every single day, but give 100% of whatever you have. So if you have 70, if you feel like your body's at 75%, you better be given 100% of that 75%. If that makes sense. Okay. So those little things make a gigantic difference, which leads me to this: excellence. I heard this definition of excellence, and it's a fanatical attention to the little details. Okay. Fanatical attention to the little details. I can't tell you how many times the word excellence was said in practices and meetings in college, but it was probably in the thousands. Okay, we talk about it almost every single day. And excellence is just paying attention to those little things and getting your job done, no matter what it is, however big or however small it is, and focusing on doing your job. Okay. And here's the thing about excellence: you either practice excellence and it's important to you, or you don't. There's no in between as far as excellence goes. For example, okay, if your job is to pick up baseballs, like we had guys in college, their job was to go pick up baseballs in the cage after practice. If that's your job and you pick all of them up except for the 2 that just made their way out of the cage and they're back in the corner, did you do your job? No. Is that excellence? No. Okay. And as I said, you either practice excellence or you don't. Okay. So it's not like, well, I practice excellence on the baseball field, but then in the classroom, I kind of lax, or vice versa. Okay. You either practice excellence or you do not in everything that you're doing. Right. That picking up balls seems very insignificant, but when you look at the greater picture and just what's important to you, it makes a big difference. Okay. So if you can't pick up the balls and that's your only job, then how can we expect you to finish your last page of your essay on time when there's other things that you want to be doing? How can we expect you to clean your locker when it needs to be cleaned, when you might think, oh, I'll just do it after practice rather than get there 10 minutes early and do it then when it has to be done at the end of practice. Or do you take it when you're working on something specifically, taking ground balls? Do you take every single ground ball you need, regardless of how much time it's going to take, or do you shut it down early? Right? It matters. And I think some of my players on my team might attest to this. I talk about this a lot, and they're going to figure out really quickly. They're 2022 grads next year, next fall, when they move on to college, they're going to figure out really quickly that I wasn't just blowing smoke when I was talking about this stuff. This is what's required of you at the next level. Okay. And why I'm telling you this now is because that's the standard we want you to hold yourself to. Because again, there's a big learning curve for every freshman moving on to college. If you can learn this now and start implementing this into your life and your training and everything you're doing now, when you move on to the next level, now instead of taking an entire fall to get acclimated to that standard and that expectation, now you jump in, you might have 2 weeks to adjust to that schedule, but then you're clicking on all cylinders. Now you have that whole fall of development rather than acclimation. Now you have a chance to start as a freshman when we turn it over to the spring. Okay, so this matters. Energy. Okay, think of energy like a meter. Every single thing that you do individually impacts your team's energy meter. And I see this every day. And when I first started coaching, I couldn't figure out why there were certain games where my team, we just didn't have it. Okay, our energy in the dugout was bad. We were missing balls and warm-ups. We were throwing balls away. My catcher was letting balls and warm-ups tip off his glove, right? It's like a snowball effect. And I'm sure all of you guys have experienced this. Like some games goes perfect. Okay, everybody's locked in. Everybody's paying attention to every little detail. Everything's important to us. And then some games, nothing goes right. Like I said, we're throwing balls away in warm-ups. We're making throwing errors. My catcher's letting fastballs in the strike zone tip off his glove, right? So why does that happen? Because that team energy meter, and we just made a decision that day to not practice excellence, not focus on those little things. So everything we do just ticks that energy meter down. And then before you know it, that other team jumps up, gets the momentum, jumps up 5-0 after the second inning. And then it snowballs from there, right? So how you can kind of take that in is what you do impacts your team's energy meter, then you need to focus on your decisions, right? So running out hard 90, regardless of the situation, right? Paying attention to our throws, making warm-ups important. So when we're warming up before the game, we're not throwing balls all around. We're hitting our partner in the chest. And again, we're not perfect. Okay, nobody's perfect. So we might throw one away, but then we have to make an adjustment and we have to show that that's not okay, rather than throw it away and look, wow, Johnny's got to run for that ball now. I see kids doing that all the time. It drives me nuts because that's not how we get ready for a game. That's not how you put your team in a position to go out with energy and focus and win a baseball game. Okay. I wrote that there. Momentum is huge in baseball, and you impact the momentum with your actions and the decisions in the dugout and on the field. Okay. There are two types of players, kind of like excellence. There's no in between: energy giver or energy vampire. If you're an energy giver when you are hitting 500 and then you have an 0 for 4 game and now you're an energy vampire, you're not sometimes an energy giver and sometimes an energy vampire. You're an energy vampire. Okay. Again, nobody's perfect. It's not 100%, but 99% of the time, you got to be an energy giver. Okay. And again, college coaches are coming to watch you and project you what you're going to look like when you have been the star of your team your entire life. You've never sat the bench once. And then you come to South Carolina and you're on the bench and we're 4 weeks into the season and you've gotten 2 at-bats. Are you of value to your team, an energy giver? Or are you an energy vampire, providing no value to the team and really a detriment to the team? because you sit on the bench and you pout and you're not helping or learning anything or helping your teammates in whatever way you can, whether that be running a chart. Okay, trust me, first 3 weeks of my freshman year, I was the chart guy. I was doing the quality at bats every single game. Okay, luckily, because these values were instilled in me at a young age, because I came up through US Elite, I made that important. And I was talking to the guys that were in the lineup every single inning, talking about their quality bats, what they're seeing from the pitcher. And then finally, I got an opportunity to play, and I stuck and I stayed in there because I put myself in a position. And luckily, I had good people around me and good coaches and good mentors. And certainly my family is a big help to keep me focused on that. But when I got my opportunity, I stayed there because I focused on this, being an energy giver, not an energy vampire. To me, winning baseball games was more important to me than my personal success. And because I focused on that, I ended up having personal success. Okay. So it's all about priorities and what we're focusing on. Okay. The things that impact your team's energy: hustle, body language, aggressiveness, attitude. We could probably throw a few more in there, but those are the main ones. Okay. And body language is a really, really big one. Aggressiveness is a really, really big one. When our team had no momentum and bad energy, our hitters took an insane amount of good pitches to hit. Okay. When have momentum and we're playing well, we're swinging out of our butts and we're taking great swings. And because of that, we're driving balls. Okay. So there's one thing that kind of links all of these together. Every single one of these is a decision that you make. It's a decision. It's something that you control. And that's what drives me nuts about when my team doesn't have energy. Maybe I didn't do my job as a coach, but you have a choice to hustle. That gives your team energy. You have a choice to have big, confident body language. That gives your team energy. You have a choice to go up there and take hacks at the plate. That gives your team energy. And you have a choice to have a great attitude or a bad attitude. A great attitude gives your team energy. Every single one's a choice. Okay. And that leads me to body language. Okay. So I'm sure a lot of you guys, all of you guys have heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words. Okay. Your body language tells everyone in the park what is going on between your ears. That goes for your coaches that are watching, your teammates, scouts, college coaches, anybody evaluating you. Okay. I can't tell you how many times a kid on my team has made a mistake and he comes off the field, terrible body language. And I ask him how he's feeling. He's like, great, I'm good. Okay, well, I just watched you pout around and shuffle your feet around at second base for the last 10 minutes. So I know you're not great, right? Actions speak louder than words. As an evaluator, or I'm not a scout, but as scouts are coming to watch you, they look at your body language. They can't talk to you in between to see how you're feeling. They're watching how you're feeling. Okay? Something that somebody said to me in college really has hit home with me and has made a lot of sense to me, and it stuck with me. And they said, if your teammates could hear your thoughts, what would they think of you? I'm like, wow, that because at that time in my career, my thoughts weren't great. I was telling myself I sucked. I don't belong here. You know, our team's not any good. And I'm like, if my teammates could hear that, they wouldn't want me on their team. And from that moment on, a light switch flipped, and I said, I'm not allowing myself to do that anymore. Okay. And something we talked about it a lot in college is fake it till you make it. Then here's what that means in the sense of body language. Okay. Someday soon, you're going to make an error. Everybody does. Your brain's telling you that you suck and that you just let your whole team down. If you succumb to those thoughts, your body language is terrible. Once that happens, you're done. How do you expect yourself to feel the next one in a potentially more pressure, in a bigger situation, and more on the line? Okay. If you force yourself to have big body language, and I promise you, it's not easy. It's way easier said than done. Force yourself to have big body language. It exudes confidence. And guess what? If you force yourself to be big, your brain is in and out of that negativity. That doesn't mean you don't feel negativity or those negative thoughts don't creep into your head. but you're in and out of it like this. Okay. And you're out. Okay. When you succumb to those, it's like a downhill spiral. And then you're just hoping that something breaks your way and it goes well before you start coming back up. Well, in baseball, it doesn't always get better if we're just negative. Okay. We have to force ourselves to be confident. We have to find a way, and that might be your routine. That might be a mentor that you talk to. That might be, everybody has a little bit different way of just staying even keel, but we have to find a way that we can get out of that negative mentality, that negative spiral, and stay on the right track. And a lot of times it's just fake it till you make it. Force yourself to be big, force yourself to be confident. And then when that next ball gets hit to you, you make the play, turn a double play, end the inning. Now you're in the dugout. Now you're ready to hit. Now you guys are clicking on all cylinders again. Okay. So it sounds so easy, but it's not. And I promise, because that negative, I've been there many, many times, and that negative stuff starts creeping into your head. It's like you feel like you're trapped and you can't get out of there, and you're never going to get a hit again, or you're never going to be able to field a ground ball again. It happens to everybody. I guarantee it happens to Mike Trout, maybe a little less frequently to him than it did to me, but it happens to everybody. Okay. And this is super important in recruiting. And I've talked about this already tonight, but the coaches are watching you and asking themselves, if this kid comes in and strikes out in the 8th inning in front of 10,000 fans in a big situation, can I expect him to go back out onto the field and make a big time play in the 9th inning to win us the game? Right? That doesn't mean you're not going to have negative thoughts creep into your head after you strike out, but can you get out of that quick and focus on the bigger goal, which is winning a game for your team, and putting the emphasis on that over your personal success and being able to make a play in a big situation. Okay. And why is this so important? Okay. The best players are always engaged. They always look for the next base or look for the next out. Okay. In the big leagues, I'm always amazed at this. And you see plenty of highlights of this throughout an entire season. But in the big leagues, those opportunities to take the extra base or find an extra out are super rare. They never happen. It's the best players in the world. They don't make that many mistakes. But when the opportunity is there, they're always ready for it. Always. Okay. Which means that they're always engaged, always looking for that next opportunity. Okay. And when we're talking about those hustle plays and the baseball IQ plays, it's easy to look at a big leaguer that hits a ground ball to shortstop and dogs it down the first and say, well, he doesn't, so-and-so doesn't do that, so why should I? Okay. We have to take into consideration they play 162 games, and that's their job, to stay healthy and be able to play that entire season. So that's certainly a factor there. But just go to YouTube and type in 1,000 IQ baseball plays, and you'll see incredible plays of outs and extra bases and just plays that guys make that are never made at the younger levels, because they have a greater understanding of the game. They have a greater focus while they're in the game, and they're always ready and looking to take advantage of those opportunities. Okay, for example, an average player hits a single and loafs around first. If the outfielder bobbled the ball, no chance he's on second. I saw it probably 10 times last year alone in 17U travel baseball. A great player rips around first base just in case that happens. Okay. It's rarely going to happen, maybe twice at the high school level. But if it does happen, are you ready for it? Okay. And chances are, when it does happen and you are ready for it, someone was there watching, and that they put a star by your name because you play the game the right way. Okay. That's really what it means to play the right way, to be engaged and focused and always looking for those extra outs, extra opportunities. Okay. So a recap of all that, a summary of what playing the right way means. It's hustle, it's energy, it's body language, regardless of the situation. It's having a great attitude. It's playing to win, not for yourself, but for your team, showing up on time, over communicating, have your teammates back. Okay. Do these things and you'll play for a really long time. Okay. I didn't make it to the big leagues. My goal as a young kid in my entire career is play professional baseball, get a chance to play in the big leagues. But I can sleep at night because I did these things really well. That was, like I said before, that was my niche, right? I got to go play in the SEC. I'm not trying to brag, but that's pretty cool. And I can look back on that and be proud of that. But I wasn't like the most physically gifted or talented kid by any shape or form. I didn't have the 105 exit velo. I didn't throw 97 off the mound. I didn't run a 6.2 60. I didn't do any of that. I was kind of slightly above average in all of those categories. But I can sleep at night because I knew that I did the little things right. I did the stuff that a lot of kids weren't willing to do. And because of that, I got to play at a really high level, and I got to have memories that'll last the rest of my life and relationships that'll last the rest of my life because I put my emphasis on this kind of stuff. That's why I'm so some kids might even describe it as petty about this stuff. But to me, it means a lot. To college coaches, it means a lot. And if you guys are going to play at that level, it's got to mean a lot to you as well. Okay. We got 6 minutes left. So let's just watch this video. This is just a highlight video, nothing crazy. But I want you to pay attention to just those little things. Guys rounding the base, hustling on and off the field. Okay. Pay attention to those little things here. This is us playing Vanderbilt. You'll see a lot of big leaguers in this game. I'll point them out to you. Bobby Wall, big leaguer. Stuart Turner, catcher, big leaguer. Energy. Building that team meter up. Sword.
Mathis is certainly back.
Tony Kemp, big leaguer.
Here's a pitch down. Turner's throw to second is in time, and they got it.
Getting off the field.
There's a pitch swung on, lifted in the air, deep right center. Going back, Wilson. Going back, Bousfield, and it'll be Bousfield to make the catch.
Getting off the field. They're not loafing it. It's not a full sprint, but they have energy. They got big body language.
And a line shot base hit in the
This
right
Will
center.
Allen. Played 6 years professionally. Catcher, he's slow, still rounds the base hard on a single.
There go the runners. Here's the pitch. Swung on, hit hard into center field.
Base hit, runner on first.
Allen around third.
First thought in his mind is I'm getting to third. Full sprint.
A big 2-out single by Austin Anderson has given the Ole Miss Rebels a 1-0 lead. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yastrzemski, big leaguer.
From Wall. Strike 3 called on the outside.
Strike 3 on a ball 7 inches off the plate.
Here's the pitch from Wall. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Harrell goes down swinging, but not before Vanderbilt gets a run. Here's the pitch. Hey, there's a base hit.
That's why I put the video in here, because I got a base hit.
I like being in this starting lineup.
Hard around first base.
Signal there, and the Rebels have a base runner with 1 out here in the 5th. Here's a pitch up the middle, fielded by somebody. Now he loses it.
Hard 90. Okay, why'd that pitcher bobble the ball? Because he had to rush. Because Lance was busting it out of the box.
Runner is going. Pitch is high. Throw to second is not in time. Stolen base. Lance Wilson.
High school player hits it back to the pitcher. He thinks he's out. He dogs it. Guy never bobbles the ball.
Here's a called strike 3 on Yastrzemski. Another 2-2 pitch, and that is strike 3 called. 8th strikeout of the night as Navin just took that fastball right down the middle, it looked like. Another 2-2 pitch, and that is strike 3 called. 8th strikeout of the night as Navin just took that fastball right down the middle, it looked like. Gives him a couple of looks. And now the ball's bunted in the air, and it will be Orvis, the first baseman, who calls off Bailey. And the 2-2 pitch is strike 3 called. Gregor goes down looking.
All right, we'll stop it there because we lost. Okay. So, guys, I hope that kind of slideshow just puts things into perspective a little bit of why the standards that we try to hold you guys to, or that we do hold you guys to, are so important, and why that needs to be important to you. And a big reason why I wanted to have this conversation now is because certainly we're holding you to these standards when you're playing wearing the US Elite jersey. Okay. But what you do when you're not wearing this jersey and you're not being held to those standards like we do is really who you are, right? I say to my players all the time, you're either uncommon all the time or you're not uncommon at all. Okay. You're either putting on a show for your US Elite coaches and my dad when he's there watching, or me when I'm there watching, or it's really who you are. Okay. And I promise you, the guys that are faking it, you can see that. Okay. And college coaches can see that. College coaches want to come find the guys that it's who they are, that they play hard and they give every single thing they have for their team. And they focus on body language and having a great attitude and hustling all the time. Right. So when you go off and play in your high school teams, even if none of the other players on your team do any of this stuff, you're going to do it because that's who you are. And because that's who you are, that's why you're going to get to go play at the next level. Okay. And you're going to have a great career because of that. So this stuff is more important to me than how pretty your swing is, how fast your fastball is, how nasty your slider is, or any of that stuff. Because there's always a place for a kid on the team that does this stuff right. And you could throw 98 miles per hour, but if you're not a great teammate, if you're not an energy giver, then it's going to be hard for you to have a great experience throughout this game. And at the end of the day, that's all we can ask for. Not everybody's making it to the big leagues, achieving every single goal that they ever had for themselves. But every single kid on this call has an opportunity to have a great, fulfilling baseball career, learn the lessons that are going to travel with you the rest of your life, and be able to look back on it and say, I'm very proud of what I did. Okay, that's my goal for all you guys on this call. And some of you, because you put the focus on that, you are going to achieve your goals and you're going to play in the big leagues. So that's what I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate it. I got less than a minute here. So guys, have a great Christmas. Enjoy time with your family, eat some cookies, and then talk to Don Weatherwax